So let's move on to section 83. And just as a brief overview, let's take this metaphor of the tent of Zion. So as the people in the early church are trying to live in unity, there were cases where a father or husband would die, and the question arose, well, what happens with the wife and the children who had claim on consecrated property? And the revelation came forward that the church should maintain support of that wife and children so that they do not lose their place in Zion, get kicked out of the tent. And let's consider this. In many places in the world, the economics of the world have changed, where women have far more opportunities for jobs and work and income and even legal representation. Whereas back in the time of Joseph Smith, women did not have the same legal standing. They often were dependent on a male figure. And often, many times, they didn't have jobs. And so if you think about, the man was the one who was bringing in the income and had the legal responsibility. And if that's removed, well, that seems to put the wife and the children in a very precarious position. In fact, anciently, it was very similar. We often talk about, we hear in Isaiah and other chapters, how important it is to take care of the widow and the children. Not because they're incompetent or incapable, but because the way society had been organized, it disadvantaged women and children, disadvantaged a woman who wasn't married, or a woman who had lost her husband, children who no longer had a father. And that society, that culture was still going on in some ways in the Americas in the 1830s. And so God made this revelation, or provide this revelation, that the church, Zion, should make sure that the women and children are taken care of. And the principle here is that those who've come into Zion should always be supported by other people in Zion. That we should not be focusing just on ourselves and say, too bad for you that your circumstances have changed. But we should say, your circumstances have changed. What else can I do to be supportive of you in the cause of Zion to strengthen the stakes and strengthen God's work?